The machine tells you when it's done, like it's angry about it. It's not a polite chime, not a soft reminder. It beeps in sharp, repeating bursts that bounce off the tile and the glass and the metal like it's trying to embarrass you. The first time I came here at night, it startled me so badly I almost dropped a basket. It doesn't stop on its own. That's the thing. It'll keep going until someone presses the button or opens the door. I know because I've timed it before. 2 minutes, 5, once almost 10, just to see if the buzzer would ever give up. It never does. The laundromat sits at the end of a strip mall that looks busy during the day and hollow at night. Nail salon, insurance office, a closed sandwich place with chairs stacked upside down on tables inside. At 10:30, everything else is dark. Only the laundromat stays lit, bright as a fish tank. That's why I like it. The front wall is almost entirely glass. You can see the parking lot. You can see the road. If someone walks up, you can see them coming. If someone tries to open the door, there's a bell that chimes, high and clear. If someone wanted in, I'd see them first. Tonight, there was another woman here when I arrived. Mid-40s, maybe. Headphones in. She nodded at me, but didn't smile. We both chose machines along the wall, like we were trying not to crowd each other. Her dryer finished first. The beeping started, loud, insistent, echoing. She glanced at it, annoyed, then at her phone, then at the glass. She grabbed her purse and jogged out to her car, maybe 10 steps away, leaving the dryer screaming into the empty room. It kept beeping. I folded a towel slower than I needed to, listening to it bounce off the walls. It went on and on. The sound doesn't fade. It doesn't get tired. Through the glass, I watched her dig through her trunk. She didn't hurry. The dryer kept beeping. When she came back inside and pulled the door open, it stopped instantly. Not a taper, not a final sigh, just silence. Later, when she left for good, the bell chimed, and then I was alone. Alone felt different. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The vending machine compressor kicked on and off in the corner. My washer churned in that steady, wet rhythm that almost sounds like breathing if you let yourself think about it too long. I kept looking at the glass at the front. There wasn't anything specific, just the parking lot stretched and empty. One car parked at the far end. A light over the insurance office flickering every few seconds. A man walked past once on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, not looking in. Still, I kept checking. The machines here are older. You have to feed them quarters like you're appeasing something. I counted mine twice before starting the next load. I've always liked the control of it. Insert the coin, push the button, hear the click, watch it start. Then the buzzer. My phone said 2 minutes left. I glanced at the front of the store one more time. Glass reflected me back, small, slightly hunched over a folding table. No one at the door. No shadow waiting in the parking lot. 2 minutes was enough. The bathroom is at the back, down a short hallway that feels more like industrial space than it does a laundromat. Single stall, paper-thin door. It sticks if you don't pull it hard enough when you close it. I locked it anyway. I told myself I'd be quick. The washer would start screaming soon, and I didn't want to be the person who left it going, even though I was on my own. I sat. The tile was cold under my shoes. I listened to the hum of the building through the walls. Then the buzzer went off. It felt earlier than I expected, like I hadn't been there for that long. Sharp, repeating bursts. Impatient. Okay, I muttered to myself, like the machine could hear me. I'm coming. I finished, flushed. The beeping continued, steady and obnoxious. I washed my hands fast, 10 seconds instead of 20. The soap barely lathered when I rinsed it away. The alarm kept going. I reached for a paper towel, crumpled it, tossed it toward the small trash can, missed, left it there. The beeping continued and drilled into the back of my head. I turned off the faucet. The The water sputtered to silence. The machine was still going. I took a breath and reached for the door handle, and the beeping stopped. Not faded. Stopped. The silence was so abrupt, it felt like pressure. I didn't move. My hand stayed on the metal handle. I could hear the fluorescent hum again, louder now that the alarm was gone. The vending machine compressor kicked on with a low thud. There was no bell from the front door, there hadn't been. No rush of colder air. No footsteps I could hear through the thin door. The machine doesn't stop on its own. I know that. Someone has to press the button or open the door. I stood there long enough that my hand started to sweat against the handle. I listened for breathing, for fabric shifting, for anything. Nothing. The glass front is loud when it opens. The bell is high and clear. You can't miss it. I hadn't heard it. I pulled the door open. The hallway looked the same as it had 2 minutes ago. Fluorescent light flattening everything. My washer at the far end, 12 steps away. The door to the machine was open. My clothes were still inside, wet, slumped against the drum. No one had moved them to a cart. No one had transferred them to a dryer. The display was dark. Somebody had pressed the button. I looked at the front glass. The parking lot was empty. The car at the far end was still there. No one near it. No one at the door. The bell hadn't chimed. I would have heard it through the bathroom door. You hear everything in here. I'd heard that other woman's dryer echoing down the hall earlier. I took a step toward my washer and stopped. To reach it from the entrance, someone would have had to walk a straight line past the bathroom door. The hallway is narrow. There isn't room to hug the wall and disappear. There isn't room to avoid the sound of your own shoes. They would have been within 5 or 6 feet of me, close enough that if I'd opened the door a second earlier, I would have seen them standing there. I hadn't looked back when I had come in. I glanced at the glass, checked the parking lot, made sure no one was coming through the front. I'd never looked toward the folding tables, or behind the row of machines, or into the shadowed space near the change machine where the lights don't hit as hard. I was still staring at the empty parking lot when I realized that if someone had come in and left again, the bell would have rung, and it hadn't. The washer door hung open in front of me. Water dripped from the sleeve of a shirt and hit the metal rim with a soft, irregular tick. The glass wall in front of me was empty. I hadn't looked anywhere else.